In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Dear audience, I am Dr. Khurram Shehzad from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. I am going to make a number of videos on literary theory. So this is our first class related to literary theory, and I will try to talk about some of the things which are very necessary to understand literary theory and its concepts. Dear students, remember, literary theory is one of the very important subjects which is offered at NUML in undergraduate as well as postgraduate studies. No doubt, literary theory is also very difficult to understand because of the language that people use to talk about literary theory. So it is quite often enigmatic and confusing. But I'll try that I should talk about these things in a very simplified way. So today I am going to talk about what is literary theory, what is the difference between criticism and literary theory, and what are some of the characteristics of modern contemporary literary theory. We should also understand that what is literature, because we use literary theory to understand literature. There are a number of definitions available online and as well as in books about literature. And it is very difficult to encompass all of them. But remember, there are certain characteristics that people talk about to distinguish between literature and non-literary texts. And again, I cannot say that there are hard and fast rules to differentiate between literary and non-literary texts. For example, if I say that there are metaphors, similes, metonymies in literature or literary text, you can find these things in non-literary text as well. And how somebody has written something. Maybe somebody is talking about some disease but making use of, verse. So by looking at the text, we may think that it is a kind of poem, but if we read and reread and go for the close reading of the text, we will find out that somebody is talking about a disease. So just by looking at the form, we cannot say that it is literary or non-literary text. However, some of the people have talked about some of the characteristics which are part and parcel of literature. For example, the very first thing that we should remember about literature is that it has a characteristics of fictionality. So of course, literature is based on fiction. In fiction, we find plot, story, characters, themes, and they are there. So some of the characteristics in Sir Walter Scott's historical novels, for example, are pure inventions, although they are situated in authentic historical contexts. And they have fictitious conversations with historical figures who actually existed. Remember, even in literature, we come across history. So authors, they have created fictitious characters and they are doing conversation with the real characters who are there in the world. Okay. On the other hand, texts that are normally read as non-fiction, like reports, often display features that remind one of literature. Consider the following example. For example, Seska Rompus climbed onto a plastic stool and peered through a dirty window at her brother, Aldo Cancel, lying motionless in a bed below. He was a pitiful sight, 2 drips attached, arms swathed in bandages, his face an angry mosaic of burns. Taken out of its context, it is difficult to decide what type of text this is. If we look at the way this passage is written, we can easily imagine this to be the beginning of a novel. First, it is a descriptive passage which introduces a certain setting. The window is dirty and so high up that the woman needs a plastic stool to be able to peep through it. But dear students, it is not a literary text. It is just a report. It is written in the newspaper article. So just by looking at the text, we cannot say that it is literature, literary text or non-literary text. But one of the characteristics, as I have just talked about, of literature is that it is fictitious. It is based on fiction. Now, the second characteristics of a literary text is the specialized use of language. So again, you should remember that there is no hard and fast rule that I should say that there are literary devices like metaphors, similes, okay, and metonymies, hyperbole or personification, that they are not part and parcel of non-literary text. But most often you will come across that these things exist in literature or in literary text. You will find them rarely in non-literary texts. Why? Because non-literary text is not going to make things difficult. Its purpose is clarity. Its purpose is to make you understand certain procedure. Its purpose is to give you information. On the other hand, literary text demands that you should go for the deeper understanding, that you should go for the deeper meaning of the text. And for it, you will have to read and reread. So literary theory is providing you the tools so that you should be able to dig down into the deeper meanings of the text. It will help you to analyze the text. So second characteristics of literature is specialized language. In number 3, we have got lack of pragmatic function. Any text that you are reading, it will proclaim, it will have certain, purposes. You are reading a manual, how to operate a mobile, how to operate, laptop, or how to use a washing machine. So they have got pragmatic purpose. On the other hand, literature does not claim any kind of pragmatic purpose. I should not say that literature does not have any purpose. It has purposes like entertainment, like instruction, like guiding the nation, like telling them what to do or what not to do. But these purposes will be clarified once one is reading, one is going through the text. So literature does not proclaim the pragmatic function in the beginning of the, novel or a drama or prose that you are reading. So lack of pragmatic function. Number 4 is ambiguity. Ambiguity is one of the major and prominent characteristics of literature. Authors knowingly, deliberately create ambiguity. And if you just listen to my lecture, 7 types of meaning in semantics, you will come across that words, they have got multiple meanings. When the context changes, the meaning changes. The tea has fallen down, pick it up and put it on the shelf. The tea has fallen down, bring a broom. The tea has fallen down, bring a mop. So every time you are using the word tea and the context is changing, the meanings are changing. Literary text has got multiple meanings. Literary text wants the reader to go deep into the text so that one should be able to understand the exact meanings of the text. And literary theory will prepare you for all these things. So this is one of the functions of literary theory, that it will provide you with the tools so that you should be able to carry out the analysis of the text. Well, dear students, now I come to the second part of our lecture, that what is criticism? The term criticism is often understood to be an act of finding fault, censure, disapproval, the act of criticizing, especially adversely. So criticism, it has got negative connotations. People do not like when you criticize someone. And in our day-to-day life, particularly in Pakistan, sorry to say, we are very critical of the people, of the behavior of the people, what they are eating, what they are doing, what they are wearing, what kind of makeup they are wearing. We keep on passing judgments, which is not good. And people do not like such type of criticism. But when it comes to the critical analysis of the text, we fail. Unfortunately, we are not ready to carry out the critical analysis of the text. So, in my next lecture, I will talk about the historical criticism as well. Okay? But that criticism could not provide us the toolbox for carrying out the analysis. It is only literary theory which is based on scientific method as well, which provides us with a toolbox so that we should be able to carry out the analysis of the text. The term criticism is used in this course. It signifies the act of interpreting, analyzing, and making judgments of individual and comparative worth of works of art such as literature. A critical comment, review, article, essay, etc. expressing such analysis and judgment is called criticism or critical review or critical essay. The art, principles or methods of a critic or critics are related to criticism. So in criticism, we will talk about that how we can analyze the text, how we can interpret the text, how we can carry out the analysis of the text, how we can understand what the author is saying and what the author is not saying. And by saying less, how he is saying so much, or how he is conveying so much by not saying anything like that. So what are the pragmatic meanings of the text that he has written? What is the semantic meaning of the text that he has produced or she has produced? Literary criticism is the interpretation, analysis, classification, and ultimately the judgment of literary works. It is usually in the form of a critical essay, but in-depth book reviews can sometimes be considered as literary criticism. Criticism may examine a particular literary work or may look at an author's writings as a whole. So it depends on the analyst that what is your purpose, and in order to achieve your goals, what kind of toolbox, what kind of techniques you are going to manipulate to carry out the analysis. Is it historical approach that you are going to use? Is it formalist approach that you are going to use? Is it new criticism that you are going to use? Is it structuralism or post-structuralism that you are going to use? Is it psychoanalysis or Marxist analysis that you are going to carry out of the text? So you will have to proclaim, you will have to tell that this will be the kind of analysis that you are going to carry out. And this is the toolbox and these are the techniques that you will be applying on the text, so that students or people or teachers or readers, they should be able to understand the meanings which are residing in the text, the meanings which are not on the surface, the meanings which are there deep down in the text, the meanings which are not clear to the common people. Etymology critic is one who passes judgment. Okay, a judge, literary critic, from Greek word kritikos, able to make judgment. One who judges merits of books or plays is called a critic. In 17th and 18th centuries, the critic was considered a judge who finds faults and merits of a literary work. So it is not just the faults, it is the merits as well that you are supposed to talk about, that how the author has encompassed the kind of theme, the kind of ideology which is there in the text. Literary text will tell you how to carry out the analysis. Literary theory will tell you that how to understand the hidden ideology of the text. A literary critic is not someone who merely evaluates the worth or quality of a piece of literature, but rather is someone who argues on behalf of an interpretation. Argument is very important when you are carrying out the analysis, that what kind of stance you have taken, what is the positionality of the analyst, how you are going to analyze, what kind of position you are going to take. It is very important. And on the basis of the evidence that you have collected from the text, you will be building your argument, you will be carrying out, you will be doing your intervention as an analyst, as a reader. So what kind of intervention you are going to do, how you are going to look at the text, from what particular lens you are going to look at the text. Literary theory is providing you multiple lenses: Marxist, psychoanalytic, post-structuralist, postmodernist, feminists. These are the lenses. They are complete boxes. The task of a literary critic is to explain and attempt to reach a critical understanding of what literary texts mean in terms of their aesthetic, as well as social, political, and cultural statements and suggestions. Remember, any piece of literary text that you are analyzing, it is made up of words on the page. It is made up of sentences, but language is there, and language is embedded in socio-political background. Language is embedded in ideology. Language is embedded in culture. We cannot separate the culture of the text. We cannot separate culture, socio-pragmatic context from the text in which it is written. So you will have to understand the kinds of words that the author is making use of, and what are their connotative and denotative meanings, and what kind of pragmatic meanings he is encompassing in the text, what is he is hiding in the text, and what he is showing you, what is on the surface level. So you will have to carry out the analysis. You will have to take a stance. You will have to take a position. You will have to intervene. A literary critic does more than simply discuss or evaluate the importance of a literary text. Rather, a literary critic seeks to reach a logical and reasonable understanding of not only what a text author intends for it to mean, but also what different cultures and ideologies rendered it capable of meaning. What kind of meanings the author has produced, and now what is your understanding about that particular text? What kind of interpretation you are going to make while living in Pakistan, when you are reading American text, when you are reading English text? How you are playing the role of culture, how you are looking at their culture, and how you are reading and consuming that text while staying in Pakistan. Is it acceptable to you or not? What the text is foregrounding, what the text is backgrounding, what the text is hiding, and what the text is showing. Your job is to understand all these things while taking care of a particular lens that you have adopted. Literary theory, a very basic way of thinking about literary theory is that these ideas act as different lenses critics use to review and talk about art, literature, and even culture. These different lenses that I have just talked about allow critics to consider works of art based on certain assumptions within that school of theory, within that paradigm of theory, within that particular toolbox of theory. The different lenses also allow critics to focus on particular aspects of a work they consider important. Well, dear students, there are certain other characteristics that I should talk about. For example, what is the purpose of criticism? The purpose of criticism is to help us resolve a difficult reading of the text. The text is very difficult sometimes. The vocabulary items that the author has used, they are quite difficult to understand. You need to understand their denotative and associative meanings. You need to know that what are the cultural aspects that this word is showing. that what are the socio-pragmatic background which is involved in that particular sentence. So literary theory will help you resolve the difficulty of reading a text. Number two, it will help you choose the better reading of the two conflicting readings. For example, as I have told you, literary text will provide you with multiple readings, and now you have become confused. So literary text, a particular lens, if it is a Marxist study or if it is a psychoanalyst study, you will be building your argument on the basis of the evidence which is there in the text, and then you will be taking your position and you will be understanding that text, and literary theory will help you to resolve the issue of conflicting readings. It will enable you to form judgment about literature of that particular text that you are reading. These are some of the purposes of criticism or literary theory. Now, another point which is very important, that characteristics of modern contemporary literary theory. Remember, dear students, these characteristics, they are part and parcel of all the literary theories that we are going to cover in this particular subject, that is literary theory. Remember, meaning is assumed to be created by difference. So here again, the Saussure's ideology, the Saussure's philosophy, the Saussure's ideas about language, you need to understand. Saussure says pa is different from ba. So pat, bat, cat, ka is different from ba. So there is a difference of meaning, because where pa sound is there, ba sound cannot come. Where ba sound can come, ka cannot come. So you remove the cat, from cat you remove the ka sound and you put the pa sound and it becomes pat, and it has got different meaning. So meanings are based on differences. Meanings are based on negativity. So remember, language is slippery. Language is not fixed. Now the meaning of signifier and signified, that they are tied to each other. They are no more tied to each other in post-structuralism, in literary theory. One signifier is not attached with the signified. Remember, that is why meanings, they are not stable. When meanings are not stable, reality is not stable. Reality is not fixed. Reality is not fixed. Truth is not one. There is no universal thing according to literary theory. There is no universal truth according to literary theory. But by reading literary theory, we should not become atheist. These are the consequences of reading literary theory. Keep this thing in your mind, because literary theory is coming from philosophy, and philosophy starts with doubt, and we talk about in science cause and effect relationship, and God forbid we question the existence of God then. So dear students, be careful when you are reading the literary theory. Okay, it challenges the basic assumptions of knowledge. It challenges the universal truths. All literary theories will give you a challenge. It will attack all the ideas that you adhere to. So it's very important that you should be very careful when you are reading the subject of literary theory. Okay, so meaning is assumed to be created by difference. So Saussure's ideas, you should read them. There is no foundational truth or reality in the universe. It is challenging the universal truths as well. So when there is no universal truth, there is no fixity. When there is no fixity, there is no reality. There is no fixed reality. Our reality in Pakistan is different, and reality in America is different. Our truths in Pakistan, they are different, and truths of the American people, of the American society, they are different. We do not believe in gays or lesbians. They allow people to go for lesbian or gay marriages. So their truths are different, our truths are different. So there is no universal truth. But we should not be extremists at the same time. They have their own belief system, we have our own belief system. They have their own truths, we have our own truths. But literary theory challenges all these concepts. Consequently, values and identities are cultural constructs, not stable entities. So everything is socially constructed according to literary theory, according to post-structuralism. They challenge the assumptions of essentialism. Later on, in some other lectures, I shall talk about essentialism and social constructionism as well. But literary theory challenges essentialism. Literary theory believes in social constructivism. Language is a much more complex, elusive phenomena than we ordinarily suspect, and what we take normally to be our meanings are only the surface of a much more substantial theater of linguistic, psychic, and cultural operations, of which operations we are not fully aware. Language itself always has excessive signification. That is, it always means more than it may be taken to mean in any one context. Signification is always spilling over, especially in texts which are designed to release signifying power, as texts which we call literature. There is no fixed meaning in any literary text. If the meanings are fixed, it is not literature at all. Knowingly ambiguity is created, knowingly difficult texts are produced, knowingly language is made complicated so that multiple meanings should be created, so that multiple readings should be carried out. So signification, meanings, they are everywhere. And it is one of the characteristics of language. It is language itself, not some essential humanness or timeless truth, that is central to culture and meaning. Humans are their symbol systems. They are constituted through them, and those systems and their meanings are contingent, relational, and dynamic. So meanings, they keep on changing. The world is relative. The reality is relative. It is provisional. Meanings are not fixed. Even human beings are constituted, and we have got different kinds of structures. They are there to control us. They are there to give us the belief systems. Human beings, they are just the symbols. The meaning that appear as normal in our social life, masks, through various means such as omissions, displacement, difference, misspeaking, and bad faith. The meaning, that is, the world of meaning we think we occupy, is not the world we do in fact occupy. Text means to weave. So it means that it is a tissue woven of former text. So there is intertextuality in literary text. So these are some of the characteristics, dear students, that you should keep in your mind. Lastly, what is meant by critical theory? The word critical means emancipation. Emancipation from the suppression, emancipation from the oppression. In all societies of the world, somehow or the other, there is oppression. In all societies of the world, somehow or the other, there is some kind of suppression. When human beings, they achieve emancipation from suppression, it means they are critical. Dear students, when you read literature, you will find that women are oppressed. You will find that some people are marginalized. They are on the border. They are on the periphery. They are not in the center. The people who are in the center, they are manipulating the resources. They are manipulating the language. They are manipulating the systems. And they are manipulating the people. So when you give awareness to them, when you tell them that this is oppression, that this is kind of suppression, you are giving them awareness. You want that people should be emancipated from such type of things, from such type of oppressions. It means that you are critical. So when you read a text and you find out some kind of suppression over there, and you give them voice, you give voice to those who are marginalized, you give voice to those who are on the margin, you give voice to them who are on the border, and those who are in the center. They are the people who are carrying out the oppression in the society. So when you raise voice for them, you are critical. Critical theory will make you a critical person of the society, so that you should play your positive role in the society. In the end, dear students, I would like to summarize. Today I have talked about what is meant by critical, what is criticism, what is theory. It is a set of beliefs, set of constructs, okay, which are taken together, which provides us some kind of toolbox and techniques so that we should apply them on any literary text, so that we should be able to understand the deeper meaning of the text. We have talked about the characteristics of literary theory. We have talked about some of the functions of criticism. And we have also talked about a critic. Who is a critic? Thank you very much.